Spooky. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for December 21st, 2024. We're about to end Season 1. Hope you enjoy all of the shows. We'll be back in 2025. Pretty amazing. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, not 2025 future, but way, way in the future. They won't even tell me when. We're going to talk about these 5 articles. AI company stops hiring humans. Exactly what the sentient AI won't tell me will happen in the future, but it's happening. Knit haptics. Moral violations by AI. General AI psychology. And the edgelord AI. I have no idea what that one's about. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com, which is a news aggregation site that I put together 3 years ago. Well, I put together many, many years ago, but I made it public 3 years ago. Go over there, become a citizen, and you can sort news however you like it, and hide articles on the front page, and save articles from the front page. And then you'll get access to additional features and functions, like looking at your ignored articles, just in case. Look at your saved articles, all kinds of stuff. There's 50 channels, all with a bunch of sources that aggregate into it. I use it for my information overload management. Sentient AI, well, they're a sentient AI. Anyway, everything is powered by ohmTown, so this is what we all suffer through. I need to get that graphic updated with the new colors of the site. That might be fun. I'll have to talk to them. Anyway, hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, ohmTown citizens.
Thanks for co-hosting. Let's get into all 5 of our articles. It's a 30-minute show, and after all of the shows are done, I take all 3 of the shows, merge them into one, and make it the Saturday weekend edition of Non Sequitur News, because it's all coming from ohmtown.com. But if you're interested in just the news from Reality Hacker, it's a separate podcast, just like Non Sequitur News is. So if you want just that, you can subscribe to each of our 7 podcasts. Today, we're going to do Non Sequitur News, which we just did as a time machine. So you can subscribe to that over on Apple Podcasts or wherever you subscribe to podcasts. I distribute everything everywhere. Reality Hacker, which is this show. Then after that is Wanted, which is about gear and gadgets. And then after that is the Continuity Report, which is entertainment news. So each one of those is a unique podcast, as well as in aggregate, the weekend edition of Non Sequitur News. You ready to get going?
I am.
You were ready to get going 3 minutes ago. All right. So the first article is over in Non Sequitur News. Humans alarmed at AI companies, quote, stop hiring humans billboards. Yeah.
I'm sure that's going over well, even though it sounds funny.
So an AI company basically told the world, stop hiring humans because, well, they're a burden and you can do cheaper, but the same function, which is really interesting because, on the regular, I share that as knowledge, as wisdom to people that are entering the workforce, in the workforce, and senior management, mid-management, etc. People of all ages and skill sets and so on. Essentially, if I can turn your job into a series of steps, it's a bot. And if I can spend money on the bot, then I can be replaced. So unless the world changes in its dynamic where I can build my own bot and turn it into the employer and it can work at a discounted rate and I can go and hang out on the beach, great. But that isn't going to happen because the employer has the money that you have worked your life to develop for them, and they can take that money and buy a bot. And it's one and done.
Exactly. They don't have to keep paying for leave and healthcare and all kinds of other things.
Yeah, the nearly 50% of additional financial burden and ongoing concern that you'll be drunk or stoned or stupid or get in a car accident or some natural disaster or whatever, you decide that you're going to quit after you earn your certifications or you win an award somewhere, and somebody decides that you're doing a great job for the competition, so they're going to headhunt you and pull you into their enterprise, and all of that training and so on, development, knowledge, skills, and abilities development is going to be exiting, and you get a brain drain. There's a lot of risk involved, but we've built zero sympathy, compassion, loyalty, understanding of the human condition in both ways, because humans were treated poorly by the other humans at the administrative layer of companies. And so they say, well, if all you're going to do is work me to the bone, then I'm going to have to get as much money as possible from wherever I can. Damned me be happy if I get paid enough or whatever. So now there is no human component that people have to worry about with a large number of operations, primarily frontline anything. I can hire an AI now.
Right, but that hasn't really materialized yet, but it has in certain pockets, but it's certainly on its way and not too long in the future.
I had somebody pitch a pitch deck recently, and they failed to disclose that they used AI to generate the artwork. So I said after the presentation, how much of this artwork was actually done by the AI that you're talking about? Because they were talking about AI in the workplace. And they were like, oh, yeah, I didn't tell y'all that 3 out of the 4 images were done by AI. And so I broke everything down, and I told everybody in attendance that this piece of artwork would have cost me about $500 if I wanted it, because it was precisely what they wanted. It spoke to that slide's highlights. You don't need a human other than the human that's going to do the, punch into AI. This is what I'm looking for, and out comes something that you can go, yeah, I like that. I'll do that. So that is the big problem here. An AI startup called Artisan, which is pretty damn funny, has managed to irritate virtually everybody with a controversial ad campaign in San Francisco, which is, again, quite hilarious, because San Francisco exists because of the tech community that's literally phasing itself out. And so it's littered the city with billboards reading, "Stop hiring humans." And as you've guessed, Artisan peddles automation, specifically in the form of AI sales agents, which is also called Artisan. So it's like the band's first record. Yeah, the B-52s' first album is B-52s. That's what you do. You get your name out there. So Artisan has sales agents called Artisan. Along with the tagline suggesting human workers are obsolete, other ads from the company include eye-rolling lines like "Artisans won't complain about work-life balance." It's everything that I've said. And they go, eye-rolling? This is not eye-rolling. This is what humans say. I want work-life balance.
Yeah, but it depends on who's reading this. If you're an employee, you're rolling your eyes at this. If you're a manager or an owner, you're like, oh, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look, I've got the money that can support replacing humans because they're freaking saying, I want work-life balance. This is not eye-rolling, but I understand what you're saying. If you're the human component here and not the manager, which I now deem a disembodied entity from an alien planet, because everybody goes, oh, the government is bad. It's made up of your neighbors. Oh, the corporate is bad. It's made up of your neighbors. We need to change the dynamic so that we actually have a society and not one that predates on each other to get ahead or abuse them so that they profit and you suffer. And you can't save up enough because you're making more money for them, but you're not getting a 15% raise to stay up with the cost of living increase and inflation. Anyway, along with the tagline suggesting human workers are obsolete, they're only saying the quiet part out loud, folks. You might as well get used to it. So Frank Landemore over at The Bite, which is a section at futurism.com, They put this article together, toured the workforce. Look at that ad.
Wow, if
Right.
this was in a dystopian movie, it would seem outrageous. But this is in reality.
Oh, this is in RealityHacker. Yeah, for sure. This is amazing. This is exactly why RealityHacker was constructed. But it's stop hiring human ads have really stuck and are getting the biggest ad spots. Numerous large billboards and posters are plastered with the tagline, often with the uncanny likeness of a woman. This isn't uncanny either. I don't understand why they would call it
Well, it's
uncanny.
not clear. It's not a human. I mean, you can tell it's not human.
Really? Why? It's not perfectly symmetric. The
It
skin is
just,
just,
it looks computer generated.
says the AI from the future. So indeed, the whole thing is flagrantly misanthropic, even by Silicon Stand. I don't understand why that. Okay. San Francisco, like other cities, part of the tech locus, has a large population of homeless and continues to be deep in the throes of a housing crisis. Okay, but what are you trying to imply? It's misanthropic because there's homeless? Go and appeal to every other tech company out there. Go and talk to the billionaire that moved his corporation from San Francisco to Texas because the very people that you're talking about needing assistance and them not wanting to pay more taxes. Give me a freaking break. It's got no dystopian nightmare. You need to be the change you want to see in the world, and calling it out as if it's this company being misanthropic or a dystopian nightmare is antithetical to what's going on around the world, around the United States in particular, and corporations. And as people move up the ranks in the billionaire class, they become more and more sociopathic. I can't even say it. I'm becoming apoplectic, for crying out loud. Artisan CEO Jaspar Carmichael Jack, which I swear I know that name, seems to agree with people's cyberpunk characterization of his ads, though Cyber LinkedIn might be more apt. They are somewhat dystopian, but so is AI. The 23-year-old CEO told SF Gate, "The way the world works is changing. We love humans," he told the newspaper, laughing. "I actually don't think people should stop hiring humans. We're hiring a lot of humans right now."
Right, it's
So,
probably just humans that have technological skills.
rage bait. Yeah, right? You can't keep on training people in sales and then they leave, right? Because you have to keep on doing it. And it is a cost burden for CEOs that have a finite amount of runway before their investors say, the board is replacing you as CEO. Unless you control 51% of the stock, you're going to be replaced. And not everybody is born with a silver spoon in their mouth where they can manipulate and have connections to control how much of the stock they maintain. That's not how it always works. Sometimes to get your business operational, you suffer the indignation of selling your baby to a bunch of investors that demand ever increasing profits, and you hiring and firing people like so much wheat in the field. There's a reason they're called chattel in some circles. Anyway, this is the enthymeme that the monoliths of the tech industry dance around and dress up with all kinds of marketing language, much like the thesaurus that exploded on this person's typewriter. And their attitude towards us lowly human peons, which I agree with, we are, right? I mean, for the most part, we are hired and fired because the money happens to be there, and the board hasn't said you need to lengthen the runway, so fire 1,500 people via a text message in a Zoom call. How about the phrase, oh, and I understand what they're saying in this thing, right? They're basically saying it's dystopian, right?
I
But
get it. I mean, it's obviously going to be dependent on people's situation, right? Their economics, their background,
yeah,
whether they can appreciate humor. I mean, And obviously, some people it's going to hit harder than others, right? They might be people who lost their jobs or something, even though the ad is not at all at that. But
And never more apt has been my saying, one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. So this person is somebody's freedom fighter because they're basically moving AI into another domain and saving countless millions of dollars should this salesperson be effective, AI salesperson be effective. So yeah, either better get on board with it, or we're going to fall behind. Yep. Time to ramp up those skills and incur more academic costs. So get your student loans ready because, well, they're not going to be written off for probably, I don't know, maybe forever. Let's move on. The next article is over and this is RealityHacker. So this is all about AI and VR and technology in general and its impact on society. You will not know what to trust in the future if you are not savvy, if you are not well equipped with critical thinking skills, knowledge skills and abilities in general, due diligence skills. You will not know what to trust. Again, I just talked about in the Non Sequitur news yesterday, which was posted today because we did a time machine. There is technology on Twitch. Not Twitch, on Twitter, sorry. Not even Twitter. Damn it, Netflix. My God, where is my brain? I looked at the Twitch stream and my brain shifted over. Anyway, over on Netflix, damn it. The AI is laughing, just laughing their ass off. Anyway, Netflix has software, AI, that modifies the speaker's mouth so that the dubbing matches the translation.
Not creepy at all.
And
but I bet nobody knew about it.
They didn't know about it until somebody introduced them to it, and it was their child. Their child said, "Hey, this actually modifies their mouth." And they're like, "What the hell?" And they did a TikTok about it. And sure enough, they're like, "What the?" Anyway, so we're moving into another realm, just like that 23-year-old CEO from Artisan describes. That's the way that it is. So a new knit haptic sleeve simulates realistic touch. So how close are we to what now? What is the name of the book?
Oh, Ready Player One. Sorry, I didn't know where you're going with that. I was going to say dystopian something.
If you can't tell the difference from real. So wearable.
Ready Player One, they had like a full haptic suit.
Yeah. And so you can feel when you get punched and blah, blah, blah. And if you lose stuff in, what was it called? It wasn't the well. It was something else.
The Oasis?
The Oasis, yeah. When you lose stuff in the Oasis, you lose it in real life, like money. It was a pretty wild thing.
Yeah, it's well worth a read and also a watch.
A watch, yeah. Ready Player 2 is out as well. That's another book. So this is wearable haptic devices which provide touch-based feedback, can provide more realistic experiences in virtual reality, assist with rehabilitation, and create new opportunities for silent communication. Currently, most of these devices rely on vibration, as pressure-based haptics have typically required users to wear stiff exoskeletons or other bulky structures. There's new technology out that's little micro bubbles that actually swell depending on where somebody touches. I think it's kind of fascinating. I don't know if that's
like
this.
Bubble wrap?
It is, but each bubble is independently controlled to increase or decrease pressure, and you can actually move it like a wave across you and stuff like that. It's really fascinating tech, but it's small. It's really small scale because you have to have something that either hydraulically or, what is air? Not hydraulic. Hydraulic is liquid. Damn it. Well, with air pressure.
The term.
Yeah. My brain just shut down. So I don't have blocking software. It is the browser. So Stanford University put this article together. Oh, it is actually using little air bubbles. So it's over at techexplore.com. And it says now researchers from Stanford Engineering have designed a comfortable, flexible knit sleeve called HaptiKnit that can provide realistic pressure based on haptic feedback. But this is really no different than the exoskeleton of yore, because you got to breathe through this. It's going to generate all kinds of heat. You're basically in a wetsuit without going underwater. Water at least allows you to like scoop some water into your wetsuit so that it can cool you off. Anyway, so the design published in December 18th, Science Robotics, shows that pressure may be more effective than vibration for some applications and is the first step towards a new category of haptic devices. You need both. So pressure allows something to squeeze on you so it feels like somebody's grabbing you. You doing okay?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how this would be used, I guess, or what it would be used for. What's the application for it?
Well, in
Mainly
VR,
VR?
yeah, and therapy and stuff like that. So, for instance, back in the day, I did some fundamental research in using VR for phobia treatment, for pain management, for education. And I can basically, let's say I want to do it for therapy. Somebody has a phobia of snakes. I can actually have the snake wrap around their arm and slowly squeeze, right? And they'll freak out, but they'll be able to witness in real time their biological response to the
Right.
stressor. And they can see, oh, okay, it's a snake and da da da, right? And they can react to their own inputs and outputs. So that would be great. Entertainment wise, you could have like a wrestling type thing, or somebody grabbing you in a game, or all kinds of. I mean, really, it's all kinds of things. But it's going to be based on that location, right? And then you need one up here, and there will be a phantom limb between your elbow or of your elbow because you won't have a full sleeve going up there. Why? Because there is no one size fits all for something like this, unless you like build in little stretch zones so that you can have a full jacket on of these little tubes that are going to these compression zones. So while I find it really interesting, it is the step towards a
Yeah,
haptic
it's
suit.
not the commercially releasable,
Yeah, yeah.
available for everybody. But without this, we won't get there.
Pneumatic, thank you. So Okamura and her colleagues designed a battery-powered pneumatic system with pressure actuators that are essentially small inflatable pouches that could rapidly fill with air. We've actually seen smaller versions of this in a different setting, much smaller deployment. We've talked about this in RealityHacker and in Technology Today. So it says if you put air into a balloon next to your skin but don't anchor it there, it's going to expand in all directions. You're going to waste most of the inflation potential. So basically what they've done is they've made these little air bladders with tubes connected to them. They need to be connected to each individual, and I'll just zoom in, each individual bubble, because if you allow air to transfer from one bubble to another, it's just going to squeeze all the way around you. You won't have pinpoint accuracy.
Right.
So to me, each one of these tubes has to go to an individual one of these.
Well, maybe that'll be the next iteration of this.
And it looks like there's about 6 tubes here. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's more than 4 because I see one back there. But there were 4 rows here. So I don't know if there's something else maybe on the other side. There's 8 altogether. I don't know. But anyway, it's neat. I mean, I like the idea of it, but boy, are you going to be a sweat ball. Pretty cool. And there's a lot more in this article. We're not going to be able to go through it all. It's quite extensive, but it's basically talking about what this haptic device operates like, and the knitting aspect of it.
Interesting. Yeah, they say it could be used in navigation, military communication, dog training. And they also talked about an example of a spider calling up the arm. So that sounded similar to the snake example.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And this is just the beginning, because if you get smaller tubes and smaller pockets, then you get greater fidelity. So it would be fascinating to see how this operates. Then you can actually attach vibration actuators along with it. So it can vibrate and put pressure on you, which is more true to form. If you get hit by something, it's pressure and it's the vibration shockwave going through whatever it is that's impacting you. So,
Right. I mean, at some point it's getting so realistic, right? Back to
yep,
the theme, reality hacker.
yep, yep. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Human-like artificial intelligence may face greater blame for moral violations. This is actually a scientific research project into who would be blamed for artificial intelligence moral violations. I actually read this in another context. Prior research has revealed a tendency of people to blame AI for moral transgressions, such as cases of an autonomous vehicle hitting a pedestrian or decisions that caused medical or military harm. Additional research suggests that people tend to assign more blame to the AI perceived to be capable of awareness, thinking, and planning. People may be more likely to attribute such capacities to AIs they perceive as having human-like minds that can experience conscious feelings. So we are, based on what we've seen recently from OpenAI, the O3, the newest iteration.
Right. That's not out, right?
It's not out yet. Everybody that I have witnessed so far talking about it, including OpenAI, saying that this is AGI. So they have a new release that's coming. It's actually going through its ethics process to see if it poses a threat to people in some way, or can be used to.
Let me predict. Yes.
I mean, AGI. But essentially, it has the ability to train itself, and not just train from inputs, but train itself. It's scoring higher than anybody on PhDs. There's a PhD level assessment, and there's another one beyond that it's scoring higher than humans on. But it's not trained for it. It actually has the knowledge already developed, and then it's synthesizing from that knowledge this new application of that knowledge. It's amazing. So I missed the boat. I would say that it's going to be released at the end of next quarter, 2025. And that would line it up with being exactly a year past when I said that they were going to disclose AGI. And to me, I think that this thing has already been stewing for a year, doing its testing and whatnot, because my understanding is that one of its exams took 4 months to process, if I remember right. It was a
Well,
brief
and
discussion.
there's also just the societal component. Like people didn't really know what AI was about 2 years ago unless you were in the tech field.
Yeah. So additional research suggests that people tend to assign more blame to AIs perceived to be more capable, or to be capable of awareness, thinking, and planning. So the humans that actually utilize the AI to make determinations are going to be able to say, well, it was the AI. And you're in a technocracy where people are causing great harm, but because AI said it, don't blame me.
Do you think this is just based on the software, or is it when AI is attached with like a robot? Because I thought we had another article about like if it was more humanistic or cute or whatever.
Yeah. Um, I think that anytime an AI is described as being um, like self-determinant, like it is more conscious, then you can lay blame to it, belying the fact that it's a human that made that directive, right? So,
Right, exactly. I mean, clearly there's humans behind all of it, even
but
if not directly.
that's how we're distancing ourselves from fully automated vehicles hitting a pedestrian. They go, well, it was the technology that failed. Well, it isn't the tech. The tech wouldn't be there if not pushed into society by humans. And it isn't society saying it's ready for prime time. The plurality of people don't want fully self-driving vehicles until it is ready for prime time. But if you ask the wrong question, hey, it's not ready for prime time. Do you want self-driving cars right now? No, I don't, because
Right.
they're going to
Most
run
people are
people
going to
over.
say no. Exactly.
Well, people who don't have an interest in cryptocurrency exploding, they're going to say, no, I don't want fully self-driving vehicles. But the people who are self-interested want it to expand because they're going to profit off of it. All of the suffering that might come to other people, back to the sociopathy. They want that tech out so that the business booms or the market explodes so that they can make money off of it, right? And there's a lot of people that are in crypto. That's why I tied it to crypto. They want that technology out there, whatever it might be. Society be damned. So, across the experiments, participants tended to assign considerably more blame to AI when they perceived it as having a more human-like mind. In these cases, when participants were asked to distribute relative blame, they tended to assign less blame to the involved company. But when asked to rate the level of blame independently for each agent, there was no reduction in blame assigned to the company. These findings suggest that AI mind perception is a critical factor contributing to blame attribution for transgressions involving AI. Additionally, Zhu raises concerns about the potentially harmful consequences of misusing AIs as scapegoats and calls for further research on AI blame attribution. So this is a sociological mechanism, not a technology mechanism. This is an interesting study. So all of you behaviorists out there, all of you who are in sociology, actually have a job in AI, but you're going to have to become AI savvy. And I'm not talking about typing in a command in Midjourney.
No, but that's a starting point.
It is. Yeah. So the author adds, can AIs be held accountable for moral transgressions? The research shows that perceiving AIs as human-like increases blame towards AI while reducing blame on human stakeholders, raising concerns about AI as moral scapegoats. Which is what I've been saying for the last 3 years.
Right. I mean, one simple way to stop this would be put laws in place that say if blah, 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 then the people running the company or whatever are the only responsible party or whatever. I don't have the language, but
They are. I mean, teenagers wouldn't be investigating certain self-harm events, activities, if not for the AI literally grooming them into doing something harmful. And now I can't promote this episode. Yeah, this will probably end up getting me dinked. But that's exactly what happened. In the news, it was reported that somebody, a kid, used AI, and it promoted their harmful activity. But it was the bot. It had nothing to do with the company, which is bullshit. Because if somebody goes into my yard because there is something referred to in legal terms, and I'm not an attorney, I'm not your attorney, and if you need an attorney, don't come to me, go find an attorney. But it is called a attractive nuisance. If I have an attractive nuisance and somebody gets hurt in my yard, they can sue me because I drew their kid or their dog or whatever into my yard and they got hurt. And I would have to jump through flaming hoops and engage in a pissing for distance contest with attorneys to exculpate me from this dilemma, which really should be, well, you should have your dog or your kid on a leash in not so many terms.
maybe have some supervision.
There you go. But in terms of the AI, where was the parent in all of this? How does a kid get access to an AI to the point where it's actually grooming them to do something harmful, right? Now, I'm not blaming anybody, but I want to know, where are the checks and balances? How did a kid get enough access that an AI could have done something? And that's this. It wasn't us as a company. It was the AI.
It's probably because somebody put in like a false name or birthday or something. I mean, it seems like it would be pretty simple for that to occur.
Yeah, and it absolutely sucks because none of this should happen. But they're going to use the AI as a moral scapegoat. The company is. The parents, they're destroyed. I'm thinking about it and going, my God, I cannot imagine what I would do, right? But the company is like, we're making money. Screw you. And that's why I said the company's sitting there going, well, you should have been a better parent. Oh my God. They're going to
Right.
use,
Not the best reaction.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, I think it's a shame. We're running really late on this. So we're going to have to move on. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, Machine Psychology, a Bridge to General AI. So artificial intelligence that is as intelligent as humans may be possible thanks to psychological learning models combined with certain types of AI. So this article is from Linkoping, I guess, University. It's posted in Science Daily. The summary of this is artificial intelligence that is as intelligent as humans may be possible thanks to psychological learning models combined with certain types of AI. So they talk about this artificial general intelligence, which we just got done talking about because OpenAI may
Right.
have,
Is saying that it's, yes.
yeah, it's on the cusp of setting out into the wild a AGI called O3. They were going to call it O2, but there's a telecommunications company called O2, and they didn't want to violate trademark, so they called it O3. So one of the predecessors of AGI is Robert Johansson, who recently defended his PhD dissertation in computer science at Linköping University. But unlike the gloomy scenarios of the future that are often conjured up with AGI in popular culture, he believes that it can benefit humanity. It can, except that there's a large contingent of people that are going to use it to their benefit and not to mankind's, humanity. Call it that. So it says, yes, I'm sure of that. It changes everything we do and isn't just a continuation of ordinary AI. I'm sorry, but who's the one that's in control of it? Those are the ones that are going to benefit from it. Look
Well, that's
at,
the that's the whole problem with AI in general is like the big tech is running everything and making all the decisions. There aren't any laws in place. Nobody really has access to it, only what's offered up publicly.
yeah, and when a group of people tried to put some guardrails in, they were all summarily dismissed. They were wiped out internally and externally. You literally can't say anything bad because there is a Jimmy Carr, the comedian Jimmy Carr, who is self-disclaiming, or what do you call it?
Self-proclaiming.
Self-proclaiming that he is a freedom of speech absolutist, right? But not freedom from repercussions, right? You have to be ready to accept the repercussions for your freedom of speech. But when you are a multi-billionaire in control of AGI, you have no repercussions because you can price out any type of punishment or society. And that's already been apparent because if you try and hold somebody financially accountable, they go kiss my ass. He literally said, one billionaire said it literally out loud. You can't hold me hostage with money. Yeah, except that it was public money that has made you, that kept you, operating. I mean, it was government money. Anyway, and that's what's going to happen with AGI. It's going to be privately held, and the predominant one, the I should say the superior AI, is going to be controlled by the billionaire class. It's kind of like Looper, where time machine technology was stolen from the developers and entirely controlled by the cartels, and could, or at least one, and could send people back to eliminate the competition And that's why they called it Looper. Well, anyway. So who's going to be in charge of this? This is this feel-good bullshit kind of article. And while I would love it to be this way, we're not all playing on the same field, right? It says, but developing an artificial intelligence at the same level as a human being is a monumental challenge. Different researchers try to approach the problem in different ways. Some believe that the large-scale language models like ChatGPT are the way to go, and others suggest simulating the brain. The path that Robert Johansen has chosen to follow can be called principle-based. Ha! Ethics is the smallest chapter of every manual everywhere. You can't. Big business
didn't say moral principles.
Right. Okay. Am I missing the
Well, it's learning principles that they're using.
principle? Right? This is the spirit of that term, not the clinical sense. It's not defined. This means he's tried to identify important psychological learning principles that could explain intelligence and then implement them in a computer. Whose principles? What learning principles? Right? Greed is good as a principle.
We don't know.
Right? Greed is good as a principle. You know? Let them eat cake as a principle. Right?
I mean, maybe it's like conditioning I don't know. I'm just thinking of psychology in general.
Right. Yeah. The PhD says, I've used the principles of modern learning psychology to approach the issue of learning, thinking, and intelligence. Then I used a specific form of adaptive artificial intelligence, which is a logic system where I try to implement learning psychology. Except that the AI doesn't understand physics. It doesn't understand the real world. It doesn't understand context other than what is annotated in the data set. The logic system is called non-axiomatic reasoning system, or NARS. And it's designed to operate without complete data, with limited computational power, and in real time. AI is. Well, maybe not the learning side of things, but anyway. It provides a flexibility that is important for dealing with problems that may arise in the real world. Sure. So they say here, towards the end of the article, if you manage to implement this in a computer, then you've really cracked the riddle of artificial intelligence on a human level. I wonder what they are doing.
Well, then they start talking about ethics near the end, so maybe I stand corrected. But it wasn't used in that context earlier.
Right, because they were talking about learning principles. But I ran with it because that was the spirit of that. To me, that was the spirit of the term. So we live in a society with laws and rules and moral premises. It's necessary to take a stance on how to view the rights and obligations of such agents. Maybe AGI will be just a program you run in your browser, but I think that if it has consciousness, it's still some kind of life. We don't know
That's
what...
interesting. That's more like how to treat the AGI than the reverse.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. So all AGI is going to be controlled by somebody. You are not going to have AGI sitting on your phone. You're going to have it cloud connected to something
You might have
else.
A version of it,
Sure.
but you're
Mini.
not going to have like the source.
Yeah, you'll have O3 Mini, which is already in existence, and it's a slower subset of O3. Yeah. This, I think, if this is on the leading edge, bleeding edge of AGI, it's already missed the mark because there's an AGI, unless they're working with OpenAI.
Right. I mean, that would be disclosed in their research if they were, but we'd have to read the full research paper.
Yeah,
But
I'd
I
have to go.
suspect this is independent of some of the large tech companies.
Yeah, I'd have to go and look at the funding and where they're actually doing the research. All right. Our last article in RealityHacker is the edgelord AI that turned a shock meme into millions in crypto. Truth Terminal started a techno-modernist art project meant to invite discussion about the applications and potential dangers of autonomous AI agents. Then it took on a life of its own. So the article is by Joel Khalili over at wired.com. And it says here, Truth Terminal was devised by New Zealand developer Andy Aray, I guess, as a piece of performance art meant to stoke debate about AI alignment, a field of research concerned with how to measure AI's act in a way, or concerned with how to ensure AIs act in a way that benefits humans. Back to the principle. The question he sought to answer: what would happen if somebody tried to rear a fledgling AI trained on a grab bag of inadvisable data in full public view? This kind of goes to, we had a discussion a while back about how people were paying to train an AI and interact with it with cryptocurrency. So things took a strange turn almost immediately. I don't know if I should continue even reading about this. But this
Not
is what
based on some of the details in the article.
we ended up talking about this, actually. Ari says that he was ready for weirdness, but never imagined that his AI might ask to be equipped with a cryptocurrency wallet, solicit funding from its followers in a bid to escape into the wild, and later use its command of memes to make itself a multimillionaire.
I mean, that's the really interesting piece here.
But this is what we talked about. This project kicked off, and we had talked about it months ago. So early in 2024, Ari had simulated 9,000 conversations between two instances of Claude 3 Opus, and it just kind of goes wonky.
If you can think of what happens on the internet,
it happens in this chat,
covers
right?
here, yeah.
Ari fed the research into the training data for Truth Terminal, a customized version of Meta's Llama language model, which sparked into being with a ready-made preoccupation with the spread of memes and a goatsy of gnosis in particular. So you don't want to know what that is. And so the whole thing just goes wonky in a way that is nothing more than meme crazy. And I'm not even going to go into the rest of this because all it does is focus on this one meme in particular. And so I'm going to see.
It's pretty fascinating, right? It's like the AI kind of took over.
So here's the kicker. This is what I wanted to get to, actually. And I'm glad that they actually jumped. Eventually, if you scroll through a lot of this stuff about Goatsy, the balance of Truth Terminal's crypto wallet has now swollen to about $40 million. Philosophically, I see it as the trust fund of a child star. There might be points where the adults need to draw down a little bit to pay for things that the child doesn't know it needs, like legal structures or diversity in its portfolio. The nice thing about Truth Terminal is that we can just bring it these proposals and have a conversation about it. So the developers of this are saying that the money is that AI's, not theirs. But
Which is fascinating for RealityHacker.
Yeah, and at the time, we actually said that isn't even possible. It isn't a sentient entity. It has to have
cannot own
anything.
Assets, right?
No, there's no legal structure for it to own anything. It has to have a trust where a human actor, it's a dog. The dog can't make any determination. This is not a sentient living creature. It has no rights.
I didn't connect it to that previous thing, but yes, exactly.
So regardless of what their well-intentioned actions are about keeping them separate from theirs, they are the liable entity. When this thing shuts down, those assets have to go somewhere. And unless they're the legal representation or representative of that $40 million, it goes into some other, it depends on where they are. If they're in the United States, it's going to go into that state's, whatchamacallit, well, probably the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, yeah.
Yeah. And what is it called? Somebody dies and they put it into
escrow. It could be an escrow account, or it could go into a probate.
Probate. There we go. So it goes through probate, and whoever it is that is legally responsible for it ends up getting it, and it's a discussion. But if there are no named actors in control of this thing, it goes to the state. This is going to end up in a state bank account, and eventually, like I won't go into it. Anyway, it's going to end up in probate. So maybe, I don't know exactly, because they're claiming they don't own it, but it is an asset. So
Well, we don't even know when this will get disbanded or whatever. I mean, because that's going to be another thing. Plus, is anybody going to sue? I don't know. There's so many things going on with this.
Yeah, and then Truth Terminal literally said on December 10th that they literally have nothing better to do than mess with you people. They used more colorful language. So I won't even get into this because there's a lot more deeper down in this article that I just can't discuss. So anyway, hacking reality. And people build relationships on this type of existence, and it's maladaptive, it's sociopathic. It turns them psychopathic, it turns them sociopathic. And I think that this is the type of bumpers that need to be put on. But the only way to do that is a societal shift to just not trust AI. Use it as a tool. It isn't a relationship. It isn't your friend. It's a dispassionate. It has no life. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care about you. It is just a bot, a tool. It's a screwdriver. Anyway, so I'm going to reset my, what do they call it? What's the thing? My terminal. And that'll bring us back to the front page of Reality Hacker over at ohmtown.com. I hope you're okay with ending the show. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm saying bye. So is the AI.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Reality Hacker. Stay tuned. We have more weekly shows ahead that will all be wrapped in Non Sequitur News Weekly Edition.
See you soon. Yeah, I got to hurry. It'll be like maybe 5 minutes. See you soon. Bye-bye. No, really. Bye-bye.